Hey guys, I've got a question for you. What have we talked about this week? What's the topic we've actually been discussing? You're right, we talked about pH levels. And we talked about how pH levels translate if something's an acid, if it's a base, or if it's just neutral. Now today we're actually going to take what we've dealt with this week and we're going to deal with the acidity levels of 8 different beverages we have here, or just 8 different liquids. All we've got water, we've got soda, we've got apple juice, we've got vinegar, we've got Gatorade, we've got salt water, we've got milk, and we've got lemonade. And what we're going to do is, using these materials, we're also going to take a pH meter. We're going to take this pH meter with the probe, and we're going to test the pH level of each one of these. Now, in order to do that, there is a procedure we have to go through. I am going to put you into groups, and within those groups, I'm going to assign you different roles. One person's going to be the data collector, and that data is going to be collected on the worksheets I gave you as you came into the classroom. Another person's going to be the runner. Now, these samples are spread out throughout the room, and they're all labeled. So your runner from each group is actually going to go get the samples, bring them back to the group, and then the person who's the recorder, the tester, is actually going to take the probe and test each one. Now, as they test this, you have to be very careful. We've talked about, in order to test pH, we can't mix different liquids. We have to test, and that's why we have this little distilled water bucket here, so we can rinse off our probe. So let's take through this, and I'm going to demonstrate to you what we're actually going to do with this lab, so that you have a better idea when I let you loose on it in a second. So the first thing I do is I make sure that my pH meter is on, and I take the sensor. Well, my runner now has brought me a sample, and I'm going to test my water sample. And I'm going to look and see what the pH level is. I show this to my data recorder, and I take this out, and I rinse it off. Now again, just to reiterate what we just talked about, why do we rinse these off? Why do we rinse this probe off? You're right, we rinse this off because we don't want to mix any of the liquids. We don't want to mess up the pH from one sample to another by mixing them together. So after I test one, I have my recorder take on the worksheet and I record the pH level. Then I take and I test another sample. I take that pH, I show it to the data recorder, and if I'm the tester, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to rinse this off again while they record it and wipe everything down so we don't mix. Now, we've talked about this. We've talked about there is a pH range that we can actually ingest. Now, the lower the pH, the easier it is going to be for us to drink it. I also have a mix. I have a mystery liquid that I want you to test as well. Now, I'll help you out a little bit here and I'll make it easy for you. When we tested the water, we got a 5.7 reading. Okay? And we take from about 5.7 reading, and we know that we can ingest water, no problem. Our bodies are mostly made up of water anyway. And then I want to test this one. This mystery liquid gives me an 8.4 pH reading. Now, the question I have to you now, and the question I want you guys to discuss, is can I ingest that? Is it healthy for me to ingest this mystery liquid? Well, the question I have to you, I want you to talk amongst yourselves for a second and discuss that. Discuss that within, with your shoulder partner. Can I ingest an 8.4 pH liquid? And can it be healthy for me if I do? I'll give you guys a second to discuss that. Now, after you discuss this, and I'm hoping you came up with an educated guess that no, you can't. Probably not a good thing if you did. This is actually cleaning solution. This is Mr. Clean. This is what your mom and dad mop the house with, or if you have chores to do, you're mopping the house with. You don't really want to ingest it. It's not the healthiest thing for you to do. Now I'm going to let you loose on this lab. I'm going to let you guys test these samples out, make sure to record it. But the first thing you have to do, once I put you into your groups, look at the first 2 questions. The first question is going to ask you, do you think you ingest mostly acids, bases, or neutral beverages throughout the day? The next thing is a table. That table wants you to take these samples that we have, not the cleaning solution, but the 8 samples we have here, and I want you to sit there and actually rank them. I want you to rank them from least acidic to most acidic. Now, these are in no particular order. You have to sit there and take the beverages in these samples and write them which ones you think are the least acidic and which ones you think are the most acidic. As you go through the lab, what you're going to do is you're going to come up with these pH levels. You're going to list them on your worksheet and write them on your data table. Then you're going to go back and actually rank them. And we're going to see where your rankings were, your hypothesis was, to where the actual pH levels were. Now remember, at the end, you can't just say, oh, I'm done and I'm going to quit. You also have to clean up your station. Make sure that the probe does get washed. Make sure that it is completely cleaned and all the solutions off of it, and wipe that probe down. Make sure your runner has not spilled anything. There's nothing on your lab table. You take the samples back to where they came from, and you make sure that the pH meters get turned back into me. Then you can go back and work on your worksheets together. Now I'm going to break you up into groups. Make sure that we stay controlled in what we're doing in our labs, and if we're not, I will pull us back. We will work a different way. But I hope you have some fun with this lab, and we're going to get started here now.